Hey, what's up, guys? So today's video is going to be about defense in Guilty Gear Strive. So in a recent video that I put up, Lucas, who has been supporting this channel for quite a while, I remember, Lucas, you had quite a few comments. So if you're watching this, I appreciate it very much. And yeah, let's get to your question. In that last video, it said, great content as always. Thank you. On a side note, I was hoping to get some tips to improve my defense, and especially about the timing of some inputs on Wakeup, like throw and DP. I'd really appreciate it if you could help me. Yeah. So yeah, throw and DP, we're going to talk about defenses, reversals in defense, and yeah, some basics of defense. So yeah, just some of my thoughts on defense. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the really basic stuff. So I think from the beginning, you really have to be thinking about when you're on defense, you're pretty much just holding down back most of the time. That's pretty much your go-to. And it's pretty obvious why. It's because it covers low attacks and grounded attacks. So you can consider them mid attacks, if you will. So it covers low and mid attacks. And if you get knocked down on Wake Up, that should be one of the top things you're thinking about, holding down back on Wake Up, because that's pretty much the safest option. And if you're holding down back, if your opponent goes low, you're going to block it. If your opponent goes for a ground attack, just a mid attack, you're going to block that. And the only thing it doesn't cover is overhead attacks and jump in attacks, right? So for that, obviously, when you see jump in attacks, you want to block high, standing block, and you expect or predict that an overhead attack might be coming in. That's when you want to do a standing block as well, blocking high, basically. So yeah, those are the basics of blocking. It's pretty obvious, pretty standard. Beyond that, that's where you add that extra layer in, where the defensive mechanics of Guilty Gear Strive come in. And the first one's going to be FD blocking. So if you FD block, it obviously pushes your opponent back and gives you a lot more space to work with. And it's very effective, but knowing when to FD block is really effective as well. And part of that really comes down to your character matchup knowledge. But you know, I think in the beginning, if we're talking about like lower levels or more beginner levels, it's probably okay to FD block when you want to just get someone off you as quickly as possible and just get your spacing back. So yeah, FD blocking is great. It buys you that extra space. It really pushes the opponent back really fast. So, but yeah, even better if you know your opponent's block strings and know when to FD block as well, so you can save yourself a little bit of meter. So yeah, starting off with those two, those are the really basics of blocking. And I think next up, you want to know how to basically cover your gaps. And a lot of that might come down to like input buffering. So if you're doing a move, for example, let's see, 6P is a popular anti-air universal move. That's something you can do, and then right after pressing 6P, you can buffer in with like down back or hold back. And so you always want to be buffering block when you're doing your moves. So even maybe in a block string, in a combo, as you're executing your moves, say like punch, slash to hard slash, you want to be holding back, holding down back. The reason for that is if a gap opens up, if say you get FD blocked or anything like that, that's when your opponent can probably catch you off guard and make a surprise move on you. But there's a chance you might block that if you've been holding block the whole time too. So that's just a good habit to get into. So the next thing I would recommend for improving your defense is just to figure out what matchups are giving you trouble. So if you're having difficult matchups that are character specific, you can jump in for that character in training and just do some of the block strings and figure out like what block strings your opponent is using. If you're playing like your friend or like somebody online that keeps getting the best of you, maybe you could try to mimic their block strings on the training dummy and then try to see why those block strings are opening you up. Find answers around those block strings, and then yeah, get better at figuring out when to FD block those, how to block those, and then like when you can take your turn back on those. And a lot of that comes down to character matchup and frame data knowledge. So yeah, definitely go around in training and toy around with that. Going into that some more, that's where you can kind of start integrating some more intermediate techniques. I would say like for Eno, for example, she's got a lot of high-low mix-ups, but there are different techniques you could get around that with. One of them is like called fuzzy guard, where you are blocking low, down back, but then all of a sudden for a couple frames you block with a standing block, so you're blocking high attacks. So blocking low starting off, and then you see her coming in. Let's say she knocked you down, you're blocking low, and then you see her coming in, for a couple frames you block high, but then you go back to low. So even if she does a high attack, you covered. Even if she goes for a low, empty low attack, you're covered, because for those short bit of frames, you're blocking high, but then you go right back to low. So you're blocking low, you go to high, and then you go back to low. So yeah, you could implement techniques like that, fuzzy guarding. There's also other techniques like chicken blocking, and there's different layers you can add to that. But just to keep this video short and simple, you kind of want to think about adding some of those things to your game plan as well over time. And that pretty much covers some of the basics, like really, really basic stuff. So blocking, there's also just defend, but the timing for that is so strict right now that it's probably not even worth mentioning in this video, especially since like we got the October patch coming up. I think input timings are going to change very quickly. So next, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so let's talk about reversals when you do get knocked down and you're pretty much put on defense. So here, I want to go more into risk-reward mindset than just telling you when to DP or when to throw on Wake Up. That's not as helpful. So in this game, you only have 3 frames right now to do a Wake Up invincible reversal. So if you have a character that has Dragon Punch, basically a DP motion, an invincible Wake Up, then one of your options on Wake Up is to actually do a DP. So, but because the timing is so strict, it's almost not worth doing most of the time. So you really have to consider, like, if you're in a match, is the risk of inputting that DP motion worth the reward? Say you're really ahead in a match and you do get knocked down, maybe just consider waking up and blocking, or FD blocking, or just backdashing, or just jumping out. There's quite a few other things you can do, right? But doing a DP reversal may not be worth it in that situation if you already have the lead. Now, let's say you're really down on your the round and you really need to mount a comeback, and you're getting pummeled anyways, and you're losing the match, and you know your opponent's going to go for that meaty. So in that case, maybe you do want to consider throwing out that reversal DP. Or if you see your opponent's timing is off and you know you can get the DP because that meaty's not timed correctly, then you can throw out that reversal DP. So a lot of it's just going to come down to risk reward. It's 3 frames only right now, and I'm pretty sure in the next patch, the amount of input frames to do a reversal DP is going to increase. In the video, there's mission for practicing reversal DP, invincible reversals, and you can tell from this video that it's actually pretty hard to do. In the mission, you could see that I'm struggling to do it consistently. I think my rate for an invincible reversal is actually, for DP reversal, is actually like less than 50%. So if I'm trying to play carefully and win a match, that's not going to be an option if like someone's doing a meaty on Wake Up. And I'm gonna, more often than not, I'm just gonna Wake Up blocking. So the same goes for throw, but now you have to consider range, right? If they're coming in close, if they're super close, then yeah, you could probably Wake Up throw. It's probably one of those options, especially if they miss their meaty. And also because like Wake Up throw is really fast in this game. I believe it's like 2 frame startup. It's the fastest offensive action you can execute in the game. So yeah, Wake Up throw is a pretty good option if you're expecting immediate at times. So it's definitely another option you can integrate into your game plan, especially if you see that they're in range for a throw. So I think at the higher levels, that's not something you can rely on as much, because I feel like a lot of players at the higher levels are really good at spacing themselves out, so right out of that throw range. So, and also at the same time, different characters have different throw ranges. So depending on who you play, your throw might be better on Wake Up than, for instance, say Chip. His range on his throw is pretty short. So Kai has a better throw range, and it may be more feasible for him to do more Wake Up throws on Wake Up. So that's going to be coming down to a lot more experimentation. But in terms of DP, I can say that after the patch, if the input for DP reversals get better, then the risk reward is going to be better, right? You're going to have less risk more reward to do an invincible reversal DP on Wake Up. And then in that case, you can consider doing that. But also, it basically just comes down to what your opponent is doing, what their tendencies are during a match. If they're working hard to like bait your DPs, then you're gonna have to think twice about doing DPs. So, but if you see them doing a lot of meaties on Wake Up, then yeah, you're gonna have an easier time to catch them with a Wake Up DP and change the game around. On top of that, you also want to consider like who you are playing. So for Chip, his DP doesn't do that much damage. Pulling off in a reversal DP on Wake Up can turn the tide for Chip, but it doesn't do that much damage, so a lot of times it's not worth the effort or the risk to do it. But for Soul, it may be totally worth it because he does a ton of damage. He has a fast DP, fast recovery on his DP as well. So depending on the situation, for Soul, it might be more worth it to do DP on Wake Up more frequently as a defensive tool. On neutral too, maybe more. It's probably more worth it for him to do that as well. So yeah, consider who you're playing as well. For Kai, it's definitely a lot riskier because he has one of the worst DPs in the game. It's one of the slowest ones, slow startup, slow recovery. So yeah, all these things should be considered when you're thinking about defense and around DPs on the Wake Up game and in the neutral game, and throws as well in the Wake Up and neutral game. And yeah, I hope that video helped. And if you guys have any more questions or comments, please just leave a comment in the video below. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.